I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:30. We have a full board present. Does anybody want to approve or amend the agenda as it's been written? Okay, Don Hummel has made a motion to approve the agenda as it's written. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Coons. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Brian, would you want to take care of the correspondence and recognition, please? Sure.
What do you want? Recognition. I did not have any recognition there.
You didn't have any? That would be why it wasn't on there.
Right.
No correspondence?
Okay. I asked you because I didn't have any in front of me. So. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Excuse me. This is the time when we offer any requests to speak to agenda items. We limit them. See, we have some people here this evening. So I guess how we do that is we try to do it as organized. We limit it to a few minutes each person, and we'll go on from there. So I'd like, when you talk, I'd like you to stand up, if you choose to. Stand up, state who you are, and then direct your comments or how you present yourself to us. Okay.
I'm Laura Westra. I'm here to address the resignation of Dave.
Okay.
Or the asked resignation of Dave. I guess as a parent of a basketball player and future basketball players only, I guess I'm concerned about where this program is going. It doesn't seem like we can keep a coach. So I guess I don't understand why when we have a coach that had a fabulous season, he is pressured to resign. And I know there's numerous aspects out in the public that's been brought up, but I guess we're wanting more answers on what more input there needs to be. I feel that only some input was heard, and maybe some others need to be heard also. So, I guess I've been addressed by numerous public people on the fact that Dave doesn't live here. We have a lot of staff that doesn't live here. We have coaches that don't live here. That shouldn't come into play. If that's going to come into play, we need to address it on a much bigger scope. We have a lot of teachers that do not live in this community. So then I feel that we have to address even a bigger issue there. Not every parent is going to be like every coach. We will never have a coach that will satisfy everybody. We know that on every aspect of every academic, or not academic, athletic, from football to wrestling. We're not coming there as 100% liking of every coach. But what do we do? I mean, I guess now we've had people address us saying, Wes, you can't keep coaches. You guys are so hard on coaches. You can't get a coach. And that is my fear. When is the day going to come when we can't get a coach who coach? Because nobody wants to deal with the parents or the issues, etc. We've got to address it. I guess I'm asking, I guess I'd like you to hear everybody's input, from former players to future players, what they think, what they want. And that's why the girls are here to bring that up. So,
thank you. You don't have to be shy.
I agree with Laura with what she said, pretty much. It's in their future, not ours as parents. I mean, I'm a parent, coach's wife, whatever. Gonna be biased, but it's their futures. It should have nothing to do with parents saying what parents are complaining about. This is a letter from some people that couldn't be here, addressed to you guys, has not been opened. They couldn't be here because of soccer. There's quite a few that aren't here for soccer, track meet, that wanted to totally be here. I guess, I mean, I've heard a lot of issues. I mean, I've heard them all. You know, being in the system, I've heard them all. But these are the girls that matter. Not just these that are sitting here. You know, they work their butts off. And Dave is excellent. Now, how he was treated was wrong. Just flat wrong. That's pretty much what I have to say for now.
I wrote mine out because I'm terrible at speaking. I'm Dawn Key, and as a parent, I am very upset that he was asked to step down. So a better fit could be found. Some of it works in the school system. I personally have had that same thing heard before. You want somebody found that works in the system, but it doesn't always work that way. You don't always find someone in the system to replace said coach. I firmly believe that you will never find someone more dedicated or with more passion for the sport of basketball. I think that it's pretty clear that he's coaching for the love of the sport, not for any other reason. He drove here every day to coach these girls. And we all know that isn't for the money. Coaches generally aren't in it for the money. If you math, you know why. He's a great role model and great leader on the court and off. We have a young team, and the confidence he's built in these girls in the short time that he worked with them has been tremendous. Winning is not all that matters to him. He wants each and every girl that wants to be better at the sport to get better at the sport and have an opportunity to do so. I also believe that you cannot build a program by replacing coaches every couple of years. Western cannot continue to get rid of coaches for no legitimate reason. These girls deserve more. They deserve someone who wants to coach them, who wants to help them improve, and who is willing to build a program. And I think Dave is that person. And I think it's a sad day for Western that he was asked to resign.
Thank you.
I'm Erin Blankenship. I'm also here to back up Dave. I've known him for quite a couple years and stuff, and he has helped out with my kids in basketball and stuff too in different situations. I haven't had a daughter on his team this year, but me being on the outside of watching him coach and listening, I'm close to these girls too, even the older ones that he did coach, they love him. He, like they said, he has respect for those girls. He likes to push them to not only excel, not on the court, but like in the classroom and stuff. He's there to listen to them, and he cares. I obviously know that, and I can tell you my daughter here is shady. If she's not too shy to get up and say it, she'll say the same thing. I think he's here for the love of the game and the love of the girls, and I have no idea what happened with being pushed to resign or asked what happened in the last while, but I think it's crap, obviously. I know parents that have talked bad about him, and probably because a girl didn't get a play that day that they wanted them to. Like they said, that's going to happen. And there's better ways to deal with it than that has been dealt around here. That's for sure.
Thank you.
I'm Amanda Mays, and I don't understand because in practice we always get along, and it's like even coach is like always pushing us, and like he'll be there until like we always run a play until everyone gets it, not just the few that play. He runs it until everyone gets it, or a drill, and he walks around and helps everyone, not just a select few. And which is good for us because it kind of just brings us all together, and we do have like a unity type thing where we are brought together, and we all do get along. And I guess none of the girls really have a problem with them, so I don't understand.
Thank you.
Everybody's talking, so I'm gonna talk. I try to talk long, and you guys know I get a little long-winded. I sent that. I resigned. There's no getting around it. Did I want to? That was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I spent a lot of time, my own money, energy, effort into this program. I think I've done a lot of things. When I was hired, I was asked to do a lot of things, and I think I did that. I started a youth program that we've never had before, from what I've told. I ran a camp. I came up here 4 Saturdays out of a month to run a youth camp. I've got youth teams into leagues. I've got them into tournaments. I took the girls to an Iowa State game this year. The coaches did an overnight Iowa State game. I started a program for the summer. A team this summer. We had a tournament in West Des Moines to save money. Parents were making sandwiches. I paid for the tournament out of pocket, so there was no money coming out of these girls' pockets. Up until 5 months ago, I was looking to move here. Al took me to a house. We were ready to make an offer. And all this happened. From the time, I would say probably the Trinity Christian game until I talked to Mr. Boza, I felt that I was no longer one of you. And I don't have a lot of time to explain, I guess, but it started with my end of year review, and I know that you guys think I had 1, but I had 2. My first end of year review was negative. There was not one positive thing said to me in that review. Not one girl was talked to, not one parent was talked to, not one coach was talked to. When I left that review, I was told that they weren't sure if they wanted me back. From all the things that I was told that they wanted from me as a coach, to everything that I did, it took me by surprise. I'm not kidding. Mr. Kramer and I met 3 or 4 days later, and some positive things were brought up. He addressed the girls. I don't think he found one girl that did not appreciate what was happening that season. Did not find one girl that did not think I did what I was supposed to do. I know there are a lot of complaints from the outside. I get that. I run a program in the summer. I've run it for 12 years. I have 200 girls in the program, 200 kids in the program. I understand I understand dealing with parents. I understand what that means. Okay, I do understand that. All right, and in our parent meetings before the season, I tell parents, if you have an issue with playing time or with anything goes on the basketball, I would appreciate you coming to me. I've always said that. I've had, and I don't have the handout with me. They can come to all of our practices. Parents, you can come to every practice you want to come to. You can come to anything. I don't tell these girls anything that you can come in the locker room at halftime. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to tell these girls anything that they can't hear. I've always been that way. Like Lorna said and Julie said, I don't do this for the money. I don't need a coach. I came from 2 graduation parties, and I came from 2 graduation parties from Riley and Callie. And that's why I coach. Those 2 girls appreciated things good for them. They, the last thing Callie said, don't lose contact. Keep in contact with me. You did a lot for me. I'm going to Ames. When you're down there, call me. We'll go to the Iowa State game. To me and my wife, not just to me. My wife and I both. That's why I coach. That's why I coach. Riley made a plaque, had all the seniors sign it for everything I did for it. Not just the basketball. The basketball is secondary. That's why I coach, for the girls. That's why I'm here. The last conversation I had with Mr. Boza is the day that I sent that. And he basically said that if it was him, he doesn't do hiring and firing, they would like to hire a teacher. I said, so what does that mean for me? If this is a one-year deal, am I just done after the next year to find a teacher? Well, Dave, I don't do hiring and firing, but we would like to have a teacher. That's what I was told. He also said he's not looking forward to basketball season and having to deal with all the complaints and issues involving me. They don't deserve that. You know, that's why I sent that. It was not done. It was not done on the spur of the moment. I felt that from the time I was at the end of the basketball season until then, that I would no longer want to do. And it sucks. Because like I said, I spent a lot of time with these girls. I was looking forward to come back. We were playing in the summer. People have said it's a communication issue between coaches. I agree, 100% agree. 100% agree. I have been asked to communicate with every coach before I make a decision on what we do in the summer or when we do anything. If I plan anything, I have to contact every coach in the program, in the school. My question is, do they have that same rule? Do all the other coaches have to contact me? Because if they do, I did not know about the volleyball camp that's scheduled this summer. I did not know about the mentoring program. I did not know about all the softball open gyms that went on during basketball season. I did not know about any of that. None of it. I was told by Mr. Boza that it's hard for them because I'm not in the school. It's hard for them to communicate with me because I'm not in the school. In this day and age, with Twitter, Facebook, email, text, they cannot send me one piece of information to ask me to tell me what they're doing and include me in that. I have to. It takes 2 minutes. I scheduled. I have 9 other schools. I'm very good friends with a lot of ADs. I'm very good friends with a lot of other coaches. We planned. I was told I couldn't have open gyms on softball days. Fine. I'm okay with that. I understand it completely. Okay. So, and other ADs and other schools are having the same issue. Whether it's a 4A school, a 5A school, a 1A school, everybody's having problems with kids going out for sports. Whether it be AAU volleyball, AAU whatever, other activities, they're having a hard time getting other kids going out. So we planned as coaches to play on Sundays, 4 Sundays out of June. I don't think there's any practice on Sundays. I checked online. I don't think there was any that would not interfere with anything going on softball-wise. So I sent Mr. Cream an email asking if we could host June 21st. The email I got back says, yes, that works. The next day I get an email asking if I asked all the coaches if that worked for them. I get an email, so fine, I'll ask. I get an email back from the softball coach saying that there's a mentoring program set up that will interfere with our basketball. Having a conversation with Mr. Kramer at the end of the year saying that I have to form a West Sioux summer team, which is fine, I wanted to. And then when I was hired, that they wanted a coach to come in and do things in the off season. It's very difficult that we can't do anything now, the whole month of June and into July, because of a mentoring program with softball, games, and if you guys know softball, they play pretty much every night. That's frustrating. I don't know what the hierarchy is as far as who overrules who. I was just told that I have to contact all the other coaches and see if there's any conflicts. If there's a conflict, am I just out? I don't know. I don't know. Nothing was ever said.
That being said, Dave, I'm trying to limit the time.
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
well, no, just kind of wind down.
Well, just in any, do I want to be here? Absolutely. I think I put in the time. I think I put in the effort to show you that I want to be here. But having everything that happened, there has to be some communication. There has to be something that changes between what is it set up now. I just feel that there's these people over here that are in a group and they communicate, and everybody else is over here, and we're left to decide what we do with what they do. And that can't happen. Do I want to be here? Yes. But there has to be some give and take. There can't be a double standard for coaches. Go ahead.
So are you pulling your resignation? Is that what you're?
I'm sorry?
Are you trying to pull your resignation?
I was asked to come here.
Well, it's just a
I have to
question,
come
yes
and
or no?
I don't want to pull it, it's going to stay the same. But if there's an open dialogue into changing things and having the coach, some of the coaches, the other coaches have the same responsibility that I have in contacting other coaches before they schedule things, and everything is the same and equal, then I'm all for that. But I have to see that because it's not the same. I'm being overruled by coaches that have been here or are married to the AD, and it can't happen. It can't happen. And I don't mean that as a slam. I mean, I lose I'm married to my wife. If she makes a decision, that's what my decision is. I don't mean that as a slam. But it seems like every time that I've never made a decision without contacting him. Ever. Ever. And I get a yes, we can do that, and 3 days later I said, no, I can't. So there has to be some open communication as far as everybody's on the same page.
Thank you. I guess we have a new person. If somebody doesn't step up, we're just going to move on.
Go ahead and step up.
I'm Brd Mtg. I've played with Dave for the past 2 years, and I don't understand why he was asked to leave or whatever happened. I don't know, but he was the best coach that I've had through all of Westwood and all the sports that I've played. And in the past 2 years, he's taught me more about basketball and more about life than I have ever learned from any of my coaches in the past.
Anybody else?
I'm Carly Deckers. I'm a former player with Dave. I played for him his first year coaching here. He was never more, I've never seen a coach more excited about coming. He had to drive a long round trip just to get here and get back home. It was late nights for him, early mornings, whatever. We never even practices or games. And I just appreciate all his effort he put in, and he made us feel like we were actually doing something with our lives, and he always encouraged us more and more.
I'm Allison Westra. I'm a junior this year, and in my 4 years of high school, I'm never going to have the same coach all 4 years. And I played for Dave the past 2 years, and I'm really hoping, I was hoping I could get a third with him. He's taught me a lot more about basketball than I thought I could ever, I thought I knew everything, but it turns out I didn't. And I guess I'm confused as to why he was asked to resign, or why he was forced to resign. I've never had a problem with him, and I don't understand how other people do.
Okay, I think we're going to wind that down. That item, if any of you have had an opportunity to look through the agenda, that is further on down the meeting tonight when we actually get to this topic. So, thank you. We'll move on to number 4, which is the consent agenda. Everybody had an opportunity to look through the April minutes, see if they jive with what you remember, what you recall. So I'd entertain a motion. Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as they're presented to us.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Coon, seconded by Mr. Cook. Further discussion? Not. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Motion carried. B, the April invoices. Anybody have any questions for anybody? Not, I entertain a motion to accept. Motion made by Don Hummel, second. Second by Mr. Coons. Any further discussion, questions before we vote? All those in favor of accepting and authorizing the April invoices the way they're written and presented to us indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Mr. Collins, would you want to go through the Secretary's report?
You bet. You have a handout in front of you, so you have a hard copy. It's duplex. And the numbers continue. I've got the numbers off of a report that's in your board packet, and that's up on the screen right now. Probably one of the most useful reports because it gives us information from the past 4 years about cash balance, revenue, and also expenditures. So the numbers continue to consistently look good. What we've been doing throughout the years, comparing today or at the end of last month to 12 months ago, so 1 year to the next. In that 1 year, as far as cash, we picked up 400,000. So the balance is 400,000 greater than it was in April of 2014. For revenue, slide up there. Okay, last year, this was our revenue balance. This year, we're over 7 million. So that's an increase of 541,000. Expenditures have also gone up. So last year they were about 5.6 million. This year they're 4.8. That's an increase of 164. So everything's going up. The nice part is that the revenue is outpacing the expenditures. So when we look at just this school year, revenue compared to expenditures, 1.3 million up, which is pretty astonishing. That's great. Typical, I look back the last 4 years, and it's not unusual to see maybe a 600,000, but yeah, to be 1.3 million, that bodes well. So we'll finish our fiscal year at the end of June, and when the dust settles, we should have had a really good year. I think I've been talking throughout the year that we'll probably end up at least $200,000-300,000 with a $200,000 or $300,000 increase. So the numbers are looking great.
Any questions for Mr. Collins? Thank you, Mr. Collins. As you see, activity fund, management fund, silo fund or pebble fund, nutrition fund, daycare fund. Does anybody have any questions? Carrie's here, Brian's here, Mr. Collins is here. For them considering these. Okay, if not, I need to entertain a motion to accept the Secretary's financial report. And items 2 through 8 under C. Motion made by Don Hummel. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Cook. Questions or further comments regarding the vote? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye and accepting it as it's presented to us. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Moving on to D under personnel. We have 3 resignations. We have Dave, Al, Kate. Any questions, discussion in these 3? We will be voting on these 3 as one vote. We didn't separate it before. So, Ryan, do you have anything to say?
Clarification on one, I believe Dave mentioned this. There was not a request for his resignation. Myself, Mr. Rosa, or anybody from Westwood requested his resignation. That was misstated by a couple people earlier on that he was asked to resign. At no time was he asked to resign.
Okay. Well, Tim asked me a question just now, and he asked Dave that same question. Are you wanting to pull or rescind your resignation?
I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
Excuse me. Mr. McKinney just asked me, one important question was, are you rescinding, are you asking the opportunity to rescind your resignation?
Like I said, I would like to be here, but I would like things have to be different. The rules can't be set for me and not be set for everybody else. And these are things that I've talked to Mr. Kramer about, I've talked to Mr. Bose about, and it's been met with resistance. And it has to work. I think somebody said you guys go through a lot of coaches, and I hear that all the time. And I don't want to be the one that leaves. That's not me. I'm here. When I was hired, I'm here. I don't want to go anywhere. So I guess it's really up to everybody else. I mean, are we going to talk about changes? Are we going to talk about how we're going to work as a group, rather than just having me contacting coaches and coaches are going to have to contact me? Is there going to be a hierarchy instead of saying, you know, it's softball season, you can do these things. Well, it's basketball season, and you can do. There's none of that. There's none of that. So
one of the questions I'm going to ask them, since Ryan brought it up, and I've heard it said, were you asked or forced to resign, or was it a feeling of forced to resign, or a forced of resignation?
I feel they already had somebody in mind to take my position. Right. And this isn't a slam. Ryan's a smart guy. He calls me in for an interview. He calls me in for a review, slams me, gives me a bad review, which I did not sign because I don't agree with it. Gives me a bad review, tells me that he's not sure if he wants to be back. From what I know, I was the only person that applied the first time. I don't think there's a lot of people applying for that job. So my assumption when that happened was, when I got a bad review, I looked at what happened with the girls, and every girl was happy. We had a good, I don't care what the record is. We had a good season, we had a lot of fun. I get in review, and I heard none of that. So to get that, and then to be told I'm not sure if I want you back, yeah, I feel like I was already replaced. To Mr. Bose saying that, you know, I asked him flat out, is this going to be a one-year deal? What's going to happen? Well, I don't do the hiring and firing, but just to let you know, we would like a teacher for that position. I asked him twice. So you guys can think whatever you want. I felt that they had me replaced, whether it be this coming year or the next year.
Okay, so I will tell you how I feel personally on this. When we ask you if you want to rescind your resignation, it's very hard because we generally do not get involved in micromanaging. We try not to. I am guilty of that sometimes, but there's no guarantees, there's no enforcement of how you transact or how you work together with other coaches or with the ADs. So if you were here I will tell you that I'm getting the feeling that you would like to stay here. But you and the coaches, along with the people who govern the athletic department here, are going to have to come to a compromise and work this out. Otherwise, it will never work because we don't govern.
Absolutely. And that is not, but I mean, everybody knows I contacted just to let you know how I felt. And it wasn't to rescind it, it was just to let you know how it happened. Having done that, I have all these people here. And I don't, like I told you on the phone, I've never wanted to leave. I guess my question, is for Mr. Kramer and Mr. Bosa, who's not here, is what are your reactions? I mean, well, what is going to happen? And these are things that we've talked about before, but nothing seems to, it always seems to come back to me making all the communication. I mean, is this something that we can talk about as a group? Can we have a meeting with all the coaches that are leading up to me to contact them to set a meeting?
This is not an employment hearing. I was not contacted with any questions. This isn't a hearing involving your ability to be employed at Westview. This is a resignation item. I don't speak to your ability to be in the position. That's not on the agenda. I can't just create times in which an agenda item or have these discussions outside of a specific agenda item pertaining to your resignation.
So the athletic director can't call a meeting of the coaches?
No, Dave, I can't respond to anything in a public meeting that is on an agenda that does not pertain to an agenda item.
That's the reason why we're asking you if you want to rescind it, because we'd have to go into closed session to talk about it, and that's not on the agenda, and we're not going to go there. That's why we're asking if you're rescinding. It's basic, and Brian is right. He can't legally or more ethically respond to you. That's the reason why.
I rescind. I like it.
Okay. Great. So now what?
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. I think the board, am I hearing you correctly, I think we should make a motion and act on that as far as the pulling the resignation. And then or not, that's a board.
Okay, so we move on. We conduct. We still vote?
Yes, yes.
Okay, make a motion.
Yep.
Does anybody have any more questions about the resignations? We have 3 of them. How I'm looking at this, we're voting all 3 of them as one. In other words, we're not separating and voting each person. So in the motion, if we determine that we're going to table the resignation from Dave, we have to state that in the motion, correct?
Sure. Or you can make a statement that you're going to pull the one resignation and consider the other 2
I'm asking for direction, so to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah, if you want to consider Dave separately, just pull it. You can consider that separately. Okay, and then act on the other 2. Yep.
With the motion.
With a motion, yep.
If somebody wants to do that. So, any questions about the other 2? I would entertain a motion considering the resignations of Dave, Al, and Katie.
I'll make a motion that we accept Al's and Katie's.
Okay. There is a motion on the floor from Mr. McKinney to accept the resignations of Al and Katie. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Cook. Any further discussion or question before we vote? All those in favor of accepting the resignations of Al and Katie indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We have Item A, Dave's still on the agenda that we have to table, accept, or deny. Any questions or discussion? I'd entertain a motion of some sorts regarding Mr. Schweier. What do I want to do?
I guess I'm not sure how to approach it.
By tabling it, we have to come back to the issue, and it has to, I mean, if we table it, the issue doesn't go away. We have to rediscuss it at a later time. I mean, it doesn't mean that that he's got the ability to rescind his thing. If we deny it, then it's over, until it's determined and offered to us again, correct? Am I correct? We don't get involved in this every day, so so that's how Mr. Collins is advising us somewhat. Okay, tabling it does not change the resignation. It allows further investigation and more time. At some time, we'll come back and we'll have to vote on the resignation. It does not change how it's presented to us, correct? I mean, that's how I see it, that's how I read it. If we want to put this to rest, then we either accept it or we deny it. If we deny it, then if it comes back to us, for instance, if we deny it, it comes to a conclusion amongst the meeting that it isn't going to work, and he turns in another resignation, and we have to vote on that also. So that's how that would go. If we accept it, it's over also. So then that's been decided because they're asking us to make the decision. So the motion could be one of the three. So I would entertain a motion of some sorts. At this time, then, what I'm going to do, since we have an inactive board, I'm going to hand my gavel over to Tim. He is going to conduct the voting and recording of the motion, and I'm going to make a motion just to move it along. So you will conduct the meeting until, I believe, until item I is done, correct? Okay. I guess I would like to make a motion to deny the resignation. The reason why I'm picking denying versus the tabling it is the fact is that there still has to be a meeting. He still has to respond, Mr. Schwader still has to respond to the ADs and they have to get together. At that point, if it doesn't work, if it can't come together, one of the parties is going to either not hiring or not fulfill his contract, or he will resign, or they'll come together. At that point, how I look at that, it'll be back to us again anyway. If we table it, I mean, we could go without any activity until next meeting. So I guess my motion is that. So I'd like to make a motion to deny his resignation.
We've got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Support.
Mr. Coons supported. Any discussion? With no discussion, all in favor? agree by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay? Or, okay.
Aye.
Okay. Kenny Cook said aye.
Thank you, Tim. Moving on to, okay, so motion carried, right? Motion, okay, so. Okay, under contracts at 2. We have, let's see, we have 3 drivers. Okay, we have Jim Hansen under driver's education. All the contracts are in front of us. We have Jim Hansen under driver's education. Wayne Nelk under driver's education. Ryan Sweesaw, Jerome Hogue, and I believe we have one more, correct? Under some summer athletic trainer.
I don't think so.
Well, anyway, I'll just go down the line. Renee Brown, summer school teacher. Terry Lauders, summer school teacher. Jackie Manneman, summer school teacher. Morgan Mullenbrock, summer school teacher. Lila Richards, summer school teacher. Andrea Anderson is Title I educator at the Hayward Elementary. Kay is Matt Gustafson. Special ed, Ireton Elementary. Missy Sadoff, first grade, Ireton Elementary. Lauren Denier, elementary music. Marissa Rader, K1 multi-age in the Ireton Elementary. Is it Callie or Kaylee?
Callie.
Callie Kuipers, second and third grade multi-age, Hayward Elementary. And Stacy Kramer, half-time science high school. Is that all of them? Okay.
It is.
Well, yeah. Any questions regarding, some of these are replacing full-time and some of them are like the summer and the driver's ed, which are like back page, something, correct?
I have 2 questions. One, when did we start the summer athletic training program?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yep, you approved the contracts last year and the year previous.
So this is going into the 3rd year.
And if I remember right, before that, who was doing it? There was a CNA group or something like that?
What was before that? Oh, yes, it was CNOS. Thank you.
CNOS. Yep.
Yep, so rather than paying that
We
company.
paid them also.
Exactly.
Okay, do we expect any more positions to be half-time? For example, what are you doing with the math part? Can you answer that at this point?
Yep, we're perfectly staffed in that
You are staffed in math?
for right now.
Well, currently this year, yeah. What about
And
next
for next year, with the schedule that we have.
Ken wants to come out of retirement.
I'm not sure I want to count on retirement. Well, I have to give up the board position.
Oh, don't. No, this fun.
Okay, well, that's fine. I didn't know.
According to the schedule that Mr. Hansen has worked out, we're okay staffed.
So we got enough?
Yes,
So
that's
we're-
correct. Yep, and actually enough sections. We're pretty comfortable with what the sections. Mr. Hansen and I, 3 weeks ago, went over the numbers for each section. I do not see any concerns that I have, nor would any teachers.
Not this year.
Not this year. It'll be interesting then as we kind of continue to increase. We're still with that group of sophomores that is a very, very small class. So that really doesn't significantly change us until they enter into their senior year. When they enter their senior year, they typically seniors, usually don't take that 4th year of math. We encourage them to, but they usually then, right now, we're not dealing with that class. So down the line, it may be interesting. We have to combine a position with another one, a half-time with another half-time, and make it a full-time if that matters, or make it another half-time.
Well, if demand is there, we will.
Right, address it when we come to it, yeah.
So we haven't done anything about a contract for activities director yet, have we?
No contracts have been issued.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
most of these are repeat people on the.
Summer ones, yes, yeah, I think.
All of them
All
are,
of the
except the new.
elementary.
Okay, yep, thank you.
All the summer school.
And then Stacy's position is with
Mr. Martins.
right, okay.
With since I wasn't here 2 years ago, and I wasn't here last year,
Yes.
with this athletic trainer, what is their scope of requirements? I mean, are they traveling with, the baseball team and the softball team?
No, this
or what-
is actually
Or is
our
this for the
morning
weight
program.
room?
Yeah, this is the weight room program. Yep, this is the weight room program in the summer that we operate. Early mornings.
But if they get a student athlete that comes up and he says, man, I got this going on, this or that going on, they're gonna work with them and.
No, no, actually, that has nothing with this contract. That's a completely separate thing that we work actually with the hospital to provide athletic training. And we work 2 different local businesses that we work with, Back to Health and then the hospital. The hospital provides athletic training for our football and wrestling activities. Back to Health provides it for volleyball, basketball, and track.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to accept the contract as they are in front of us.
I'll make a motion to approve the contracts.
Mr. Coons,
I'll second.
second by Mr. McKinney. Any further questions about the vote? If not, vote to accept the contracts for all the people A through P as they're written, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Under reports, which is number 5, we have Mr. Kramer's report.
Seniors finished with their finals on Thursday, and as many of you board members were able to attend our graduation ceremonies, which I thought went very well. On Sunday, our semester tests are this Thursday and Friday. If you remember previously, the previous schedules that I've shared with you, we actually took, 3 days. As a teacher leadership committee, we decided that we didn't have as many semester tests taking as long as the required 3 days. So we shortened the periods, and all the teachers have been had this information shared with them, and I think this will allow us to have more class time up until those last 2 days, and then provide enough time for the semester tests. Building and ground items, we'll discuss those during other agenda items. I have accepted internal applications for Tiffany Milliken, middle school teacher, Mark Venort, head wrestling coach, and Caitlin Lockhorse, head softball coach. Those contracts after negotiations will come in front of you for review. And then with enrollment, we did increase from the previous month by 2 students. And that'll be the last one for the year that we'll kind of take. So as we kind of progress, hopefully next year, the magic number that we want to increase over next year is 350, 6 through 12. And projections show that we will be doing that. Nothing else in mind.
Thank you, Ryan. Mrs. Thornstead?
No written report this month. It's been a busy month. Worked a lot of the month on interviews and hiring and getting the team to meet some new staff, bring them on board, that you approved those contracts today. We also, with Tiffany's move to the middle school, we'll have a 5th grade opening, so that could be an internal move as well, which could possibly mean another move. And what I talked to Mr. Collins and Mr. Kramer about is that we would look at the applicants that we already interviewed for that position that may open due to the
fifth grade opening.
You had a really nice response.
Very great
The
response.
pool is deep and wide.
Yes,
Applicants.
and there were 22 really strong applicants, 8 that we chose as our really top choices, and then the teams helped interview those 8, and of the 8 are the 5 I think that you approved on yours. 6. Thank you. That's where we're at. Elementary, gearing up for the last week. Just 4 more days of learning. That's what I told the kids today.
Thank you.
Just want to make a brief statement. The state still has not set supplemental state aid. With the consensus of the board, I think we should probably reach out to the association and just start an informal conversation about, when that is set, when are we going to bargain? Until we bargain, we can't finalize contracts. It's a little unnerving right now. So they're talking about a compromise at the state level that would give us 1.25 growth, and then a one-time 55 million statewide, which I think the total ends up being about 2.45, less than 2.5. Now, if that happens, our tax rate will go down slightly because we certified at 3%, knowing that it probably wouldn't be over that. But Lord, if you, again, with your consensus, if you'll allow it, I'll just kind of reach out informally, and maybe we can set some kind of, when it's set, when are we going to meet? Let's get some bargaining going so that we can finalize negotiations. That's really all I have.
So are you looking for,
Yes.
could you explain that again, what we're actually going to talk to them about, what you're going to?
Once it's set, once the supplemental state aid is set, I'd like us to pre-arrange some kind of, hopefully that's going to be soon. So talk about some dates, look at calendars, when are we going to meet, just so we can get the ball right away. We haven't had any conversation now for months. And I think it might behoove us to at least reach out to them and talk about when we're going to get together more. Since we're in the middle of May now.
That doesn't require a vote, does it?
No, just wanted to let you know in case you heard.
Is everybody okay with that? Yeah.
Thank you.
Board members, anybody have, Ken, go ahead.
Okay. Just went through a month with 1,200 and some days in it. For our people, we're holding at the 90%. Sick days have gone down on Friday. And professional, or not, personal days have gone up. So the things are running like normal.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, I got just one question. When do we, as a school, we contract propane?
We put it out to bids.
Which I will probably start
In the fall?
Probably about, no, we do the bidding process in June. I'll send out the request for bids in June.
I don't know, y'all are propane, but it's more o'clock, so I mean, get locked in.
Do we normally, Ryan, book it? Or we just pick the supplier in our bids?
I believe we just picked a supplier.
We
I don't think we lock in a set cost. I think I think they give us a range of
Below, they give us a break. We're more.
I mean, a couple of years ago, did the school get biffed by the $5 propane and all that stuff, or?
A little bit.
We rolled up. Sure, we have records showing how much propane we use.
I think it's what, 77 cents or something like that. Propane.
I just talked to my son, I get mine, they're at 98. But if you contract
That's
it,
household?
then yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, moving on to new business. Mr. Collins, do you want to go through this?
Yeah, we talked about this briefly last month. Akron Westfield has an individual, a tech coach, that they're willing to share with us. This person is earning a master's in technology and has experience doing the job as a tech coach. Also fairly, I hate to say young, but not a lot of years on this person. So as far as being affordable, a very good deal for us. Has been working with Bob Bach now for the last year and a half. So they're a known commodity. Our plan would be to place this person in Ireton. They also are PE certified, so they could pick up a class or two, so we wouldn't have to travel a PE teacher back and forth to Ireton. Also, Akron Westfield's salary schedule is pays less than West Sioux's, so we'll be paying at their rate. So it's a good bargain. It's an experienced person. They can help us out. It'd be a yearly sharing, just like transportation or maintenance or my position or anything else. You get to decide each and every year whether you're going to continue.
In a meeting that I had with you, talking about this previously, Ryan, you had some things about the elementary, or I don't think you were there, but about some of the questions regarding PE at the elementary or something, and this would fulfill.
Yep, in the past we've had to have Mr. Henrich come to Ireton and give about 2 hours of his PE time to us in Ireton to fulfill the PE requirement. So rather than having a traveling staff member, we would then now have someone in Ireton to fulfill the PE requirement as well as the technology or tech coaching.
It's not more than half a day.
So
Yeah, Ireton hasn't been getting a half a day of tech
they've
coaching.
only been given one afternoon, 2 hours a week. So it would still be a significant increase in tech coaching.
Every day?
Yes.
Every day, half a day.
Well, when Mr. Bach presented that to us, he did more machines, and that's also the reason that came with that request came with additional machines.
Now they'll have one-to-one, whereas in the past they haven't had that.
They had carts or something.
They only had 24 in the whole building.
Okay. So they will give us we will buy time from them like we do.
I put it on as an action item just so we can clearly communicate. They went ahead and made the hire last week. So the position is in place.
So this wasn't somebody that they previously had either?
Actually it was, yeah, but it's a reassignment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, John Ludwig is the person's name. He's been with Akron Westfield for 3 years. For the past year, has been acting as a tech coach and also a mentor to another teacher.
Any motions? Regarding A?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Cook. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McKinney. Any further discussion? All those in favor of purchasing from AW halftime tech coach and possible PE supplement indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. You want to go ahead and go with B?
You bet, yeah. Lots of districts, as you're well aware, the board has a fiduciary responsibility to audit bills. We have a board member that is very diligent in doing that, and it's my recommendation, why not officially appoint Mr. Cook to audit the bills on a monthly basis, and it's on the agenda. You look at him during the meeting and say, did you audit the bills? He said, I did, or didn't, or I have questions, but it's just a little slice of time that helps the board document you accomplishing your responsibility.
That's a non-paid position, correct?
That's correct. No, pays the same as the board. We're going to double your salary. It pays twice as much.
Ken, would you be willing to?
Do we need a vote for that?
So it's
A point, yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Yep, yeah, no point.
you're okay with that?
I think I'm doing it already.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are. All those in favor of appointing a bill auditor, and that person would be Mr. Cook, indicate, or excuse me,
I'll make that
that motion.
I'll support that motion.
Okay, motion made by Mr. McKinney to appoint a bill auditor, Mr. Cook, seconded by Mr. Coombs. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay,
Collins.
we talked last week, a month also about looking at services that would revise and update our policy manual. I did, and I found one that clearly stands out as being more affordable. It's also the School Board Association. They'll do it for $750. They'll go through the entire manual, make sure that it's legal and updated. But then it needs to come back to us, and we need to go through it policy by policy to make sure that it fits our local scheme of things. I'm going to, this isn't pick on Mr. Cook tonight, but I'm going to suggest, the board should be represented on that committee. This will also allow us to not do, 2 or 3 each month, and then not maybe address areas that we're behind, or we're not sure whether it matches with master contract, or so I would suggest we appoint a board member, and Mr. Cook is extremely interested in policy. And then administration will have a representative, and so all you would need to do is appoint a member of the board to sit on this committee, and then we'll take care of the rest. Because I'm thinking we're also going to want to have a representative from the association there, so that we make sure that our policy manual and the master contract aren't in conflict. Because when they are, the master contract wins. And so we may look at our policy and think we're okay, when we're really not. So,
Is this a multi-year thing, or is this just once in a while? I mean, do we do this?
every 5 years, the manual has to be reviewed. And see, I'm thinking a lot of districts, that's what they'll do, is they'll time it out. Every 5 years, they give it to School Board Association, it costs $750. They get all the dead wood cut out, they get all the new policies included, and then they'll have the committee review it. So, yeah, we just need to do that once every 5 years.
So I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Cook if he's willing to do it.
I'll second.
Motion made by Russ Coombs to appoint a policy person from the board to be part of the policy revision committee, that person being Mr. Cook, seconded by Mr. McKinney. Any questions before we vote? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Ryan?
All right. These are actually 2 separate projects. The baseball crow's nest. Actually, I'm pretty drunk. Right now, we were to the point last year where it was starting to require some significant changes because of wood rotting, the supports and those type of things. Last year during that time when we were talking about it, I was approached that I had some interested community members that would be willing to provide the labor if we would move the crow's nest. So in exploring that, we were able to also during that time purchase with fundraiser dollars and Booster Club dollars what is called an Iron Mike pitching machine. This Iron Mike pitching machine, you've probably seen it in the hallway. It's probably about 5.5 feet tall and about 4 feet wide. In order to keep this and utilize this outside, we needed a building. So rather than build a separate building to house this, the idea was generated that we would move the crow's nest behind the bleachers to add more seating area where the current crow's nest is located, and then take the current crow's nest, lift it off of the space, and then place it over by the batting cages. What that would do then is we could place the iron mic in that building, and then our crow's nest would not impede areas for seating within the baseball facility. We also were lucky enough that if you remember previously, we had a pretty significant estimate on our Little League fields to try to bring those up to where we wanted to do that. I was able to utilize Mr. Chapman's group to actually provide us with the labor and kind of work that into his class to build us the dugouts for the north field. So we saved a significant amount of money there. So I'm going to take you to our Peppel silo. You have an estimate from Schoenemann's. Yep, I will. And right now, we had expended $393. If you remember, I believe I had budgeted $20,000 actually for the entire north field. So I had reduced that. Then with the price of materials coming in at $2,167, that is for steel and for framing materials, to provide a new crow's nest. We'd have the entryway on the top of the bleachers. It would come in, the top bleacher would have a door, and then it also have a door off the back for storage underneath. So it'd be fully enclosed, new tin, and then also an angled roof away. And I have still people who are willing to do that. Custodians were able to pour a pad of concrete to have that placed on there. And it would be a project that actually would open up where that existing location for the where the crow's nest is. Because you'll notice when you go to a game, people kind of spread along that third base line under the trees. Right now, there's a significant, it's 13 feet long, and so you can't really see on the other side. There's about 20 feet of that hillside that we can't use. And it gets kind of crowded underneath the trees and other places. So I think it would really add to it by placing that crow's nest behind it. The other project that I was looking at is not one that was in the budget, and I wanted to more or less start the discussion tonight. It would be on the very east side of the building. We have the two steps. We have the front steps that come up to the cafeteria, then we have the steps going up to the athletic entrance. In between there, we have a very sharp hill, grassy hill. This hill is tough to landscape. The grass dies very early because of the slope of the hill. We have a lot of kids, running up and down it. So it's tough. It's very difficult to keep nice and landscaped and as an entryway, because primarily most of the people coming in for multiple activities outside of the school day use our east entrance. That seems to be the main entrance because it has our largest parking area. So one of the proposal that I got was for getting landscaping brick, bringing that wall up, or building a wall in between the two stairs, 5 feet tall, filling in that area with dirt, and then having a flat area of grass around there to provide an area where we can at least keep it landscaped, proper drainage, nice grass, and kind of get rid of the weeds and whenever I pull up to the building on that side. I just noticed that. It's something I'd like to eventually improve, but it's not something, as I said, that was in the budget, but it is one that I did get an estimate. With those two projects, and also, I'm going to talk about this project in a moment on Carrie's for the playground, which was included in our budget with a little bit of a change, are what I'm proposing for improvements in that area of the facility, east end and north end. Any questions?
On
Try to make it bigger here for you guys. It's not.
On the east end over there, Brian, you want to bring that up 5 feet. There's already a sidewalk there, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So you bring that up 5 feet, you got a grass here. Do you have anything in there for a railing?
That's what I was kind of debating also.
There's probably a reason why that's sloped.
Well, the other side actually, on the athletic side entrance, does not have a railing on that cement there. If you go up, you kind of walk up that side. There is on the stairs, but there is not above along that, which is kind of interesting. I think you'd have to take a look at it, determine if you'd still have a space of, I believe it's about 9 or 10 feet from that sidewalk. That would be grass area.
I mean, I would like to see it all look nice, but I'm looking at it at the liability standpoint.
Right.
You're educating a lot of teenagers with a lot of energy. They get out there goofing around. Are we liable when they fall off of anything and break an arm or something? I guess it's. So do we need to incorporate something like that also? I guess it's.
You're going to use brick or you're going to pour concrete?
No, it would be a landscape brick. The large 80 pound. The only bids I got were actually for materials. I plan to have our custodial staff work on that.
The landscaping thing he's brought up to us. We did.
We talked, that was one of those, when I was looking at when I first discussed, hey, these are items that I'm looking at in the future, just to kind of give you an indication. This is stuff I'm looking at, but I didn't have any real numbers for you at that time.
Not yet. Now you're asking for the vote, correct?
That's correct. Yep. And really, there are two separate projects. Crow's Nest.
So on the east side here, I think, are you going to use
the large 80 pound ones?
So so you're going to come up 5 feet, and then you're going to have a level plateau, and then you're going to come up another 5 feet?
No, it would just be 5 feet.
Do you have to worry about that, the dirt behind that, pushing the block out, or is that?
I think with a 5-foot wall, we shouldn't have as much concern. If we were going and landscaping it up, I'd have more. If you provide drainage around it, a drainage tile underneath that first load, along with some pea gravel covered with some landscaping fabric, and then provide a drain there, we should be just fine with that.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions for Mr. Kramer?
Yeah. How are we handling the electronics on Crow's Nest?
As I was told by Mr. Hoffman, it is coax cable. That all needs to be just run from where the existing Crow's Nest is to the other.
It's just coax.
That's what I was told. I asked the question, I get an answer, and I trust the answer that was given to me.
Oh, well, okay.
So in other words, they'll hook onto where the coaxial cable was and it's provided to the police.
Yep.
What about electrical? Decent electrical there. That's not coax.
No, that is not coax.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Brad would run probably in conduit from there, from the existing. We'd have to keep a box there, is what I was told by Brad, and then he would run from that box where our electrical comes in, coax to the existing or the new Crow's Nest. Excuse me.
How far is that, you think, Ryan? 200 feet?
No, No, not from the where it's at. I'd probably say about 50 from where that existing comes up from that crow's nest, just to right behind the bleachers.
So it's gonna kind of look like Ireland's.
Yes, yep. Significantly smaller because the trees are there, and we don't want to take out the trees that are there. And we don't really have a huge need for the storing underneath. It adds to it. We always need some storage. We'll fill it up.
I guess I was looking at the setup is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. The setup is, yep, exactly, the position.
We talked about this before ever.
Not the baseball stuff. But you did point out the significant savings from the projected budgetary on the fields versus what it ended up being, correct? When would that start? This summer?
I would order tomorrow, and I would hope to have the crow's nest done before next Monday. I have everybody.
So it's not up yet?
I have everybody lined. No, it is not up. No. I wish, that'd be great. Fantastic.
It's there already.
Yes, the concrete is there.
Okay, I'm sort of out of the loop on that, I guess. What's the labor bill?
0 laborers.
Absolutely no labor?
Absolutely 0 labor.
And what will it look like when it's up?
It will, well, it's a darker tan. And then what I've done, are you talking about aesthetically colors, or are you talking quality of workmanship?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I would trust the workmanship based on the same type of, I can't guarantee you how the same exact people, but the wall that was constructed on the third base side between home plate and that dugout has done very well, and I've been very pleased with our recent volunteers in regards to workmanship.
I guess one thing, how I look at it, the volunteers want it to look nice also, so they're probably going to try to do it.
And to last a long time.
Is there a reason this doesn't come out sooner than this in another previous meeting, so we have a little more thought processes to go through?
So I'm not understanding, I guess, having it on the agenda.
Seems like this is coming up and we have to make a decision, but the decision's already made.
No, I'll find another way.
What are you going to do with the concrete with the back?
I'll find somebody to finance the materials and the other things to put it up.
Really? Well, you can do that?
I've found ways before, yes. It's amazing how people come out of the woodwork, especially when we have a project that they believe in very significantly.
Okay.
Questions?
You want me to ask? Probably
That's your prerogative.
Okay.
So what you're asking, Ryan, is the crow's nest and the landscaping together, correct?
No, actually, I'd prefer they.
Oh, well, I meant,
you
but
vote on
you're
them
both,
separately.
okay.
Yes, I'm asking for both.
I mean, now you're doing the landscaping that you're finally.
The landscaping is one for later in the summer. I mean, it definitely can be tabled, and, we can talk about it in June again, in July.
Well, we have.
I have no problem with that. The baseball is a little bit more tight on our schedule because we would start baseball here next Thursday is our first one.
So on D, Ryan's requesting, as you can see up there, is there any motion to be made?
I'll make a motion to approve the crow's nest landscaping on the east end of
Mr. McKinney made the motion to okay the construction of the crow's nest and the landscaping on the east side. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Mr. Coons seconded the motion. Yep.
So you're gonna put West Sioux in the brick? Talk about that.
Yep, already have it laid out.
Okay. Any further discussion, comments about the vote we're about to take? If not, all those in favor of going ahead with the Crow's Nest and the landscaping projects, Mr. Kramer has requested, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Go ahead, Carrie.
Okay, so in front of you are three bids for the two options that are printed off on the back of your sections. And I would recommend that we go with the lowest bid by Bowland Recreation. This is something that I don't think I ever mentioned, that the elementary has been raising funds, fundraising for the last three years, box tops. And prior to me becoming the principal, we used box top money for our everyday math materials at the time when we didn't have math curriculum. We couldn't afford to buy curriculum. We used box top money. That was something that Mr. Kramer agreed. This is important. We need new curriculum. We're going to focus and put this money towards box tops. So since we have our new curriculum and it's been effective and we're working towards it, really pushing it, we've been saving the box tops since then, and it's been accruing, and we're at about $9,000. We will put our box top money towards our Ironton playground, and then the next time we have a significant amount, we'll put it towards the Hayward playground. So we're looking at a cost, if we look at the $19,600 cost of about $10,000 that would come from general funds or from our couple.
So this one here is
Option 2 is the one that we're looking at, yes.
this is the one where they actually constructed in the cost, correct?
Yeah.
Is this the one you talked?
They will bring, nope, this is by Bowland Recreation. They will send a person to actually help us supervise the installation. This is the one that I recommend.
So, and you'll use custodial people to help?
Yes, and volunteers, lots of the Ironton volunteers. The date won't be finalized till we know when the delivery is.
On top of this, will there be, I see that there was like, in one of the bids, there was like pea gravel or
Wood
soft
fiber, that's something I want to talk to my custodians about before we ever add that to our cost, because we've used pea gravel for our playgrounds for years and years, and I would like to have their input on why we would change, because it's been a cost savings, I believe. The pea gravel is a lot cheaper than the wood chips, and the wood chips would need to be replaced again within a couple of years. So rather than change, personally as a mom, I'd be happy with the wood chips because the pea gravel gets dirty and the kids get really dusty. But cost is important too, and the safety, there's really not a difference in the safety.
What was the cost on option 1?
Option 1 was $2,400,000. But option 2 is the one we're looking at.
That's 19.
Actually, you want to pull yours back up there?
19.6.
I'll pull this up.
Said 19.6
19.6.
plus option 2.
Option
delivered.
2 is the only one, yeah, and that's delivered.
Carries it.
The 19.6.
I'm sorry, dear, what? Bowland Recreation.
Comparable, correct.
Okay, so option 1 is 24.
24.
20,000.
20,400.
20,400.
Yeah.
And option 2 is 19,600.
And option 2 was spread out farther across, which allows more movement with the kids. So there's less on top of each other. So that's why personally I liked it better.
So are you gonna remove the old steel slide you said?
We'll have to remove the slide and the web.
Current one.
And there's a web. So the slide is the oldest item on the playground. It is the most dangerous. And it was evaluated 5 years ago, whenever the playground was put in at the Ireton, the preschool playground, daycare playground. They had all of the playgrounds evaluated for safety, and it's one of the most dangerous that we have.
So they do, we have a person that evaluates them? Or
Actually, most
It was
of
5
these-
years ago.
Yeah, most of these companies.
They'll come out and do it.
Of course they do.
It's been something that's been.
It's like somebody comes and tells you we're super.
Right. Definitely been something that Ryan and I have been talking about.
How do we ever survive?
Right.
With danger, everything's
I know.
dangerous. Baloney.
I have been told by medical personnel outside of this that the web is one of their biggest concerns. And not only for the reasons of playing on it, but if a child gets injured in it, there's actually no way to remove them from the center of the fall zone. Because there is.
Right.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Then you are replacing the entire structure. Exactly. I mean, there's a way to do it, but it's not
There'd be
going
no
to be
trauma
good for you.
involved.
Exactly. There's not a way to do it without hurting the entire structure.
What's the timetable on that?
This
Before
summer.
school?
Before school starts. Yep. But we don't have a delivery date because we don't.
And that was part of the budget?
It was part of the budget.
But
it was
it's
budgeted
higher.
for $7,958.
As a match.
The actual cost was $10,780. So there is an increase of about $2,800.
When you did that, were you intending on using the box tops then?
Yeah, we matched
Oh,
it.
you
That's
were.
what that 7,958 is. So
Okay.
we've raised, this year, we've raised about $1,000 in box tops. Possibly more. We're waiting on our next check.
Okay. Any further questions, discussion on this matter? It is a request to vote on this tonight.
Yeah, the 19.6 is on that straight.
Yeah.
That's not, you haven't subtracted the box tops off there.
No.
Right?
That would be the total cost for the supplies.
I thought I saw something.
The cost of Pebble
Okay.
would be
Cost of
$10,700. Formula, I did that for the 19.
And that could change because you're.
Right, we're still waiting on our next box top check.
But then again, on top of that, we may have some pea gravel or
Right,
some
there may
wood
some.
products, which would be probably $300 or $400. Yes, there is.
We had it our pea gravel redone this year, so we're planning on just scraping it over and then putting it back and then seeing how much more we can put on top. So we probably will do it this year.
Thought of everything.
Well, try to. Not everything, but try to.
I would entertain a motion to that point.
I'll make a motion to approve the Iron Elementary playground.
Motion. Option. Mr. McKinney has made a motion that we accept option 2, playground equipment. That would be $19,600 minus the box tops, for a relative about $10,700. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So was it a committee that voted on option 2?
No. Just you?
Just you?
And that. Yeah.
It's your playground, you have to do it.
You didn't get a survey from the newest kindergarten kids?
I can tell you the fifth graders are really annoyed with me.
Well, that changes things, didn't it?
I can give you letters for the last 3 years from the students about their playgrounds, but for, first graders and kindergartners don't write letters yet.
Oh, there's a whole nother thing. They're not
So,
writing yet?
it's not- It's just not quite
I could say something
their
else.
persuasive essays are not quite to the same level of the Yes, no, they are not. They will be happy to have a new playground.
Seconded by Mr. Cook. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of purchasing the Ireton Elementary Playground Option 2 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Is this yours, Mr. Kramer?
Yes, this is. This was an interesting one. You'll remember on the baseball field, we had windscreens out in the outfield that would really kind of dress that field up. And in working with this, and we had a new fence added at Ireton, and we have been talking about, kind of dressing up Ireton to make it look actually like a West Sioux field. It's kind of, right now, other than the blue concrete, it doesn't really just say West Sioux on it. One of the things that we talked about was a windscreen along the outfield fence, and then also, if I can find it, what is called bleacher backings. And what that is they cover the undercarriage of the bleachers, the scaffolding portions. And it kind of really dresses up the undercarriage of the facility. And the idea was that we would use, you'll notice on Buchanan Avenue, in the visitor stands, right now as you kind of drive by, we have the really nice looking bleachers, but we always pretty much the scaffolding underneath when you're driving by. So the idea then was to use this bleacher backing to cover that area and close it, and then to have it in two pieces. So during the summer months, we would take it over, and on the back would have West Sioux Falcons on it, and then use it on the softball field, and then also use it to cover the baseball field here in the bleachers in the same wraparound. I approached the Booster Club because they were responsible for the purchase of the baseball one, and we've also sold a number of advertisements for businesses, and I then talked to Mr. Debrick because we had been talking, because he has taken over the Falcon Joe's program, where we've used some of our students to kind of make banners and such. Right now I'm handing out different banner materials and things. Right now he's done some of our banners, but some of the other ones that you see in the facility, like where the seating area is in the gym, we've had to order. Our banners for our conference affiliates, all ordered. Mr. Debrick had approached me and said, you know what, if we purchase a printer, we could all do all of this in-house, also approach local businesses, communities, if they want to have some of their products done by us, and that's currently how he's already paid and is making profits off the previous banner printer that he used, the Falcon Joe's. He's actually already in a 2-year period recouped the cost for that printer, and it did a nice job on our. If you remember, during our district wrestling, we invited all of our state qualifiers back, and we made a banner of all of their names on it and all of those. But projects like that have been what he's been focusing on. Well, this new printer that is available would do all of these jobs. I've already then talked to the Booster Club about, rather than spending, well, the estimated cost from this big signs company was $9,200 for everything we wanted to do. It would be the fence backing, it would be the bleacher surrounds, all of those. And after talking with Booster Club, they said they would spend $5,000 towards the purchase of this printer to do the job. Then also in talking with Mr. Debrick, he would like to use a portion of the funds that are in what is called the Falcon Joe's account, where he's using and turning profit with the students in his class, because he has the alternative education students as part of their job preparedness program, has them working on their contacting businesses. Actually, they also do things in the back of windows. You know, for instance, I think one I always remember, Mason Erickson has a New York Yankees on the back of his pickup. So they actually are running a business. This would be to expand his business in that capacity. We also currently, without Falcon Joe's, are not able to incorporate what is called the case class, because what students did within that case class was learn how to operate businesses from all the way down to the smallest aspect of it, well, in the coffee shop was brewing coffee, to the largest one was marketing, you know, for the coffee shop. Now we want to incorporate that into sign making, where we want to take students who, rather than utilizing the system like a Hope Haven, kind of a step down from that, so we can still keep them within the facility, they would be adding the grommets and things to these signs and helping to lay out and doing some of the, I guess, easier jobs that would be associated with the sign making to fulfill these products. And then we'd also be able to have the highest level, providing the layout, the setup, all those things which actually are adding into the computer component. So what I'm proposing is, currently I have $5,000 committed from the Booster Club. What I'm proposing is that we then use $5,000 from currently the Falcon Joe's business, and then also the remaining balance then, I think of, if I remember correctly, $6,200 would come out of special education funds to work towards continuing that component of adding CASE into the classroom. So we can have those students, right now we have one student who actually graduated Sunday. His last 4 weeks have been going up to Hope Haven and doing some of those specific service industry jobs daily. As a precursor to that, what we want to do is be able to offer some of our students that will probably be working in locations like Hope Haven and doing those jobs, to start working on some of those projects, from putting in grommets onto these banners to using double-sided tape to lay out the edges. And then we want some of our more advanced special education students working on the layout, and so they can work on something that may not require specifically a 2-year degree, but it will be a skill that they can use outside after receiving their high school diploma. So those are all goals from this program. It fits in well with the alternative ed component that Mr. Debrick works with on a daily basis, and also provides a really needed service that we require, because it allows us to kind of generate some income for this program, so they learn on the balances, they learn the expenditures. Mr. Debrick did not want to use more than $5,000 from the current, because he wanted to show the students, you know, we have to buy some materials with this yet. So we want to definitely budget for that. That's the thought process behind this purchase of the printer. It's a 52-inch wide printer, and it'll print anything. As you can see by the examples, it has all the different layouts or different backings, or wherever you can use a sign up to any size. And then you can see the print quality that it provides. It can provide anything from the windscreens to, I'm sure you've seen those advertisements, the fat heads, where you put them on the wall. It'll also, currently, we spend $500 a year on Falcon, on our helmets, the emblems that go on the helmets. Roughly that material and cost about $500 per year. This would allow us to do that in-house. And it would allow us to print on any material, that same material that goes on the helmets. There's other ideas that I've approached different groups on for purchase. There will not be a shortage of jobs for this group once they get started into this process.
When they do this, and they probably have to, there's no material that much would be on hand because they'd have to order. Is there much waste? I mean,
It
you
kind of
may not
depends
be
on-
able to answer that.
Yeah. It depends on the overlap that they'd have. You know, it depends on specifically the project and what they bid it out for.
So how much would come out of couple?
6,200. And actually, I did not have that coming out of.
You had that sort of special ed,
Special
right?
ed.
That's why I thought it was coming.
No, that's all right. I had that up there, so that would be good.
So what would we use the 6,200 out of special ed for?
Because that actually is going with the CASE program, that is a special education program.
So that is only allowed to be spent on that case?
Exactly. It would be special education funding. That would be out of there.
Is that going to short you somewhere else down the line?
No, it should not. Because we've been, with our numbers in, we're going to be able to support the program because we need to really look at how we can expand those offerings. Because right now we're kind of stuck in the middle. Because there's really two different offerings that we have for our students. We have the regular diploma that you really need to, well, you are required to take all the courses. You have to meet the course requirements. Then we have a certificate of completion. And that's kind of right now where we're stuck in the middle. We have a number of students that are moving through our system that we want to provide and push them academically as far as we possibly can. Because we don't want to enter those work experience fields too early because they will have plenty of time for those. But we need to fill in that gap where we need to offer some work experience to see what we can recommend later on their placement. You know, is this something that they're above? You know, they're not challenged by this type of work, so we can actually gauge that they're able to do this level of workmanship from layout to this part, or they're only able to do the grunts. You know, they have an aide sitting right there, and they say, okay, yes, this is a job that you need to perform. This is very labor intensive, but it also is something that with direction you can do on your own. So we need to be able to evaluate what range we have, because right now, prior to one student entering that program 3 months ago, we weren't really able to evaluate, you know, their ability in that work experience because we don't really have a number of manufacturing facilities here in Hayward that we can start with those work experience components. And we really are hesitant to approach businesses that may be very significantly challenged by having somebody on board unless we can assure them that, yeah, you know what, this is what they're capable of.
What about ink?
I don't know.
I mean, is it expensive or is it UV curable? Is it?
Oh, excellent.
This way.
Well, thank you very much.
You gotta run my computer, try to make it. Go ahead.
Nice job. It's like ink cartridges, $125 each.
And then I wonder how long it'll last. If you go through it very quickly. Of course, if you buy it from somebody, they have that cost built in. I see the colors for what? Magenta, cyan,
Pretty standard.
yellow,
Yeah.
black.
I think it's very similar to our color printer, color copier.
Exactly what my printer one takes.
Is that what it is? I was actually asking Mr. Debrick. I was hoping he was on his phone.
At his home.
But it does not look like it. Okay. He's probably-
Well,
That's quite a while.
well,
I don't believe based on.
I don't know that that's gonna keep us from purchasing batteries.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just, based on the feedback that I've got at the booster club, from coaches, and the different things that we do order, and Mr. Collins put in, we were just, again, awarded the bronze identification within the U.S. News and World Report. We're continuously trying to promote the things that we have in the district, and it allows us to use an in-house printer. You know, it allows us to educate students in a way and utilize it as a business, and that was the whole goal of the Falcon Joes. This acts as a, not substitute, but a different avenue for them to explore and have some of those same skills, or similar skills, I should say, or soft skills.
Mr. Debrick would be the overseer.
Yep.
of this.
My question is, since I'm now the, whatever I'm appointed, I've always looked at the bills and I've never seen a large number of dollars going into Falcon Joe's account over the last 2 years.
I would have to.
Yeah,
based on
exactly
looking
how
at
much
those.
they have.
What's that?
You want to know how much they have?
No, I know they
No, I
have
don't.
10,000. What has been the income?
The
they have
income has
received?
been minimal.
It's paid for the printer they purchased. And so if
I
you.
never saw it go through.
Did the printer, did that get purchased though out of Falcon Joe's?
Yes.
With that money?
Yes.
Oh, it did? Because that was originally, at one time, I think the high was like 14 grand. in that account.
And we have
Now,
transferred some.
Mr. Chapman used part of it. I
Yep.
think.
No, my recollection is there was very little that
Well, in
went
the jobs,
into that account.
Well, in the jobs that they're doing, you're talking about $25. You're not talking about significant projects coming out of those, whatever, the machine, I can't even think of the name of it, but yes, they're not large jobs to do.
And that I understand, but the statement that you made, there's quite a bit of money coming in, so I'd have to go back and look at it, but I do look at that, and I haven't seen any come in. Into
And I
that
couldn't tell,
account.
yeah, and I couldn't tell you right off on whether it is gone or not. It's not in.
Is this something you have now for a vote?
Yes, it is. And the reason for that is, what we'd like to do is get started on the project as soon as possible, and also with our summer school students that could come in and also get working with it, and we can provide the order to the Booster Club from the businesses, the windscreen for Ireton. That would be the reason that we'd want to get on it.
In other words, during the nice weather.
Exactly. Oh, and when we're using it.
I think you probably find uses for it if you never thought of it.
Or you, as opposed to, yeah, no, we gotta buy that outside, let's hold off.
Well, and an eventual thing that I've really liked, that I'd like to look into is, that I think dresses up facilities are the light post flags, the ones that, you can put on a light post, and they're about 5 feet tall, but they're rectangular. I've always thought that would look really nice. I mean, like you said, there's a number of projects that I've had in mind to dress up the facility to make it look as welcoming and nice as we possibly can, because we were lucky enough to have a great facility.
Any further questions? Okay. I would entertain a motion. Everybody understand how this is going to be paid, how it's going to come out of 3 accounts, correct? Boston Activity Fund,
Yes.
or excuse me, boosters, which, and then special ed, and,
Falcon Joe's. Falcon.
yeah, Falcon Joe's.
I don't know.
The goal is for this thing to support itself then?
I would entertain a motion. Motion made by Mr. McKinney to purchase printer that's been proposed to us. The total cost is how much, Ryan?
$16,200.
Okay, does that include any, like, special table or anything that it has to go on?
I believe the stand is that
Okay.
the stand. It includes everything to get started on.
Okay, and Mr. Debrick is going to be the facilitator?
That's correct.
Okay, is there a second?
Support.
Second for Mr. Coons. Any further discussion before we take the vote? If not, all those in favor of allowing purchase of the printer to support the Roland VersaCam SP 540i printer for $16,206.77 to come out of 3 accounts, indicate by saying aye. 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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Next meeting is set for June 15, 2015 at 6:30. I would entertain no further business. I'd entertain to adjourn. Second. Second by Mr. Coons. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you.
Eat fruit.
Nobody else. I'm 100%.
Tracy, don't ignore me. Don't pretend like you didn't hear me. Get over here and eat some fruit. What if I get some coffee or something?
Somebody could
Well, I remember Jim Black.